Hello guys, and welcome to my channel again, King Expert. Today I would be sharing details about listening test. So without wasting any time, let's get started. I will start from the very basics, and at the end I will share one method with you which has worked for me and how I got 40 out of 40 in my IELTS exam. So you should watch the video till end, because if you are not seeing the starting tips, then you won't be able to crack the exam, the method which I would be sharing at that. So you have to stay tuned till end of the video, and it would be very informative, and I am 100% sure that these all methods would work for you. Okay, so first let's start with the basics. First of all, as listening test same for both academic as well as general training students. The marking criteria is same, the number of sections are same, the number of questions are same. So this test is of 30 minutes, and there are a total of 40 questions with 4 sections. Each section has 10 questions, part 1, part 2, part 3 and part 4. All of these sections are of 10 questions each. You have to listen all to the 4 parts one by one, and you have to answer the questions that follow. The main purpose of listening module is that it will test your main ideas and detailed factual information and the opinions and attitudes of speakers. And the third point, which I think is important one, is the purpose of an utterance. And last but not the least is ability to follow the development of ideas. So it will test a variety of skills in a listening test. You have to pay attention at every cost. Even if you miss one question, then definitely you can make a lot of mess. So always try to have laser focus attention. So now coming to the 4 parts of listening module. The first part is a conversation between two people, which is set in an everyday social contact. And I think this is one of the most easiest and scoring parts in IELTS listening. You can always get 10 out of 10 in this part first, because it is a very simple conversation. The speed is very slow and you can easily listen to them if you pay proper attention, and then you can get easily all the answers correct. Part 2 is a monologue set in an everyday social context, and most of the time it is a speech where a single person is speaking and sharing details. This is also kind of easy for me as well, because person would be following some certain steps, and the questions would follow one by one. So you can also score 20 by 20, 10 by 10 in this part as well, and if you pay proper attention, then definitely it is also an easy part to get all the answers correct. Now coming to the third part, it is a conversation between some individuals set on an educational or training context. It can be a university tutor talking with some students for an assignment. Most of the students struggle in part 2 and 3 because the speed is a bit fast as compared to section 1, and sometimes there are multiple choice questions or maps, so it makes it a little bit difficult for students to get all the answers correct. Most of the students struggle in these part 2 and part 3, so you have to pay proper attention. You should have knowledge of all the sections, what it includes and how I can get all my answers correct. So you have to be laser focused and listen to all the questions that follow, and you would be easily able to answer all the questions. Now coming to the last part, which is part 4, this is always an individual speaker who is talking about certain aspects, for example, a university lecture. Okay, so this part, I think this is the most critical one to score 40 out of 40 in the IELTS listening. So I have always scored many times 40 out of 40, but the main mistakes which happened for me were in the section 2 and 3. So part 1 and part 4, I was always able to get 20 out of 20 in both the sections, but I always struggle in part 2 and 3. So how I got that, I would be telling those details in the upcoming sections. So these was about all the 4 parts of listening module, and there are now different types of questions which come up in the listening part. The first one is multiple choice questions. In this, you would be given 3 options with certain questions, like either there are 5 multiple choice questions or 6 or 7 depending on the context of the listening, and then you have to answer all these questions. I've seen number of students struggling in this section, because this is one of the toughest type of question which come in IELTS listening, because all the options which are present in the question are always told in the audio lecture, and students always struggle because they can hear all the questions. The main thing to check in listening multiple choice question is to always listen the audio properly, because they always say it is not possible or it is not happening, something like that. They are always negating the other two options. So you should always listen to it carefully without directly jumping into writing the answer, because they would always tell you all the options which are present in the audio and always in the questions, and then you have to select only the correct one. So you have to pay proper attention where they are negating the options, and then you have to pick the correct one. So the best approach to do is either listen to the only correct one, or just keep noting down the wrong options and then selecting, and then the remaining one will be the correct one. And also there are certain intervals where multiple choice questions have multiple options which are to be selected. So there they will give you around 5 to 6 options, and then you have to select multiple answers from them. So that is the most trickiest part in IELTS listening, and you have to crack it at all costs to gain 40 out of 40. Even if you are struggling at multiple choice questions but still you get all other answers correct, then you can still score 35 plus in IELTS listening. The scoring is same for both academic as well as general training. So always try to get as much as you can in this listening, because this is one of the easiest module in the entire IELTS exam. The next part is the matching. Here you would be given a set of options, and then you have to match those options with the given list of questions which are in the playing in the audio as well as in the question paper. So you have to match certain items of the options with the correct items. Either it is a map or it is given some kind of context where you have to match certain items to each other. So is a basic kind of matching which we do in our primary or secondary school. So this is a similar kind of matching but with the different level of language, which is high in IELTS exam. So you have to always pay proper attention. Most of the times the options are always in sequence, but the answers are not in sequence. So you have to match the correct. That's why it is called as matching. So don't expect that a person would, the audio would be keep on playing the same answers in a regular interval, but they would rearrange the options in such a way that you have to think of what is the correct option to my answer. Okay, so pay proper attention, listen to all the possible. This is like not very easy, but this is a quite easy section also in IELTS listening, and you can easily score full marks in your matching. Then comes the maps. So this is also one of the toughest sections in the IELTS listening, but there is one easy way to do it which I had tried for myself. This can also work for you if you pay proper attention while doing the IELTS listening. So I always remember what the map looks like. I always try to point directions on the rough space, because I had appeared for the online exam, so directions were always given to me and I already had those in mind. If I'm sitting in front of the screen, then this is the north, this is the east, and then west, and then south. So you always have to pay proper attention to the directions, because as most of the maps in IELTS listening play according to directions only. So you have to be very much capable of remembering the map, because whenever the audio plays, you know where I have to jump. If they says you have to go to the seminar room A, B, C, or D, then you know where it is. So you have to remember the map before start listening to the audio. And then comes another part, which is summary completion, flowchart, or table completion. In simple words, this is kind of fill in the blanks, you can say. In this task, you are required to fill in the gaps in an outline of part of the listening context. So it can be a form which can be used to record factual details such as name, addresses, or it can be a set of notes used to summarize information using the layout to show how different items relate to one another, or it can be a table which can be used to summarize information again relating to some time, place, or price. And then it can be a flowchart where it can be used to summarize a process which has clear stages. So I think this is one of the easiest part in IELTS listening, these type of questions where you can easily score full marks out of it. And then comes the sentence completion. So it always has a limit that it can be no more than one word or a number or 2 words or 3 words. So you always have to pay proper attention to the instructions in sentence completion, because in listening what happens, they will always complete one sentence in the audio, but you have to pay proper attention that what is the grammar for filling in this blank or sentence completion. You have to always pay proper attention to see, because we are Indians, we always try to read the sentence. If it is making sense, then definitely we go for it. So you can try that trick as well. It always works. Okay, and just try to remember all the grammar rules, and then you would be easily able to ace this part of IELTS listening as well. And then come the short answer questions. So you are required to read a question and then write a short answer using the information from the listening test. It also has a word limit of no more than 2 words, 3 words, or a number. So always have to pay proper attention in this one as well. So this is also quite easy in listening because they will just say one sentence and then you would be able to hear that in the audio and then just write it down on your answer sheet, or if you are online exam then you can type it easily. Okay, so always pay proper attention to the listening. So this is one of the scoring modules in the entire IELTS exam, and you can get 40 out of 40 very easily. Okay, so now I will tell you some methods from where you can improve your listening. The first basic method to improve your IELTS listening score is to always read the instructions very carefully. I have always made a mistake in reading instructions when I just started into the listening. I always saw, okay, it says no more than 1 word, that what was highlighted in the instructions. But I did not read it properly and I failed a lot of times in reading the instructions. So this should be always your best practice. They give few seconds of gap, either 30 seconds or 50 seconds to read the instructions. So pay proper attention to the instructions. Once you are comfortable with that, then move forward to the questions. They always give a few seconds or a few minutes pause so that you can go through all the instructions as well as the questions. So first read the instructions and then go to the questions. You should always try to memorize most of the questions as much as you can, because listening always follow the questions in order. If you have missed any one of the questions and then you heard the speaker that they have jumped to the next question, then immediately jump to that. Don't wait for the speaker to just stay on one question then trying to hear if they are saying any keyword or not. Okay, don't try to do that. Just try to remember the questions and then just keep following the audio. Another important method to crack IELTS listening is to always highlight the keywords in any of the sentences. Even if you are at the multiple choice questions, and then just try to highlight the keywords. Whenever you are practicing at home, then try to take a print of the questions, or maybe just pick up a IELTS book or download the PDF from the Google. There are a lot of resources available. Then you can definitely download the Cambridge IELTS listening practice modules and then try to practice on that. Always try to highlight the keywords, pay proper attention to the keywords, how the speaker is saying the words and then how they're coming into the paragraph. So always try to pay proper attention. If you're doing this for the first time, it will take a couple of days or maybe 1 week or 2 weeks for you to get to know about all the sections, how the audio plays and how the questions come. So once you are comfortable with that, you can easily try to use my last trick, which I would be telling you at the end of the video. Thing which I think is quite important is, do not try to spend much time on one questions, because sometimes it happens that you did not catch any word, your attention was not up to the mark and you missed one question, but you are still waiting at that point where you are trying to hear that one keyword which you highlighted, but the speaker did not say it at all and the section ended. So this is the one biggest mistake which I made as well, that I just was paying only attention to the keyword and it got skipped somehow in the audio and I was not able to do other questions as well. So this thing costs a lot of marks in IELTS listening. Don't try to do this mistake, or try avoiding doing this mistake. Once you start listening to the audio, always have a look at all the keywords which you have marked and then just try to listen properly at what time that keyword came. Because even if you skipped one keyword, then definitely if you remember another one, so you would be aware that I have missed this keyword, but now the next question came and I can easily catch the audio. Also, if you are lost once in the audio listening, then definitely you cannot come back and you will cause a lot of questions for yourself in that listening. So don't do that. Don't just stick to one question. Okay, just keep on tracking your progress, that I have done these questions and then audio is playing at this time, and then I have to also keep on checking the another questions. Okay, so this is the best thing which you can do to avoid your negative marks. There is no negative marking in IELTS listening, but if you skip one question, then definitely you are waiting on that, you will again cause a lot of questions in the another, so it will make a lot of mess for you. Okay, so don't try to do that. Okay, so just skip the questions which have been skipped and don't try to just wait on that. So how you can improve as listening? If I talk about your day-to-day practices, I always practiced 2 listenings, and one another habit which I made was to watch most of the informative content on YouTube or any of the other podcasts which you used to listen. So I always tried to play that at a faster speed than the normal speed. I always try to practice. I always try to watch YouTube videos in English because it was first of all informative, and then it always try to it always try to improve my listening power as well. Okay, whenever you try to listen to various YouTube videos, or you always try to listen to some podcast anywhere, then definitely it always improves your listening power. So I would recommend, always don't try to watch English movies, because that is just a waste of time, because you always try to focus on the story instead of the listening. So just try to watch informative information. You can watch informational YouTube videos in English. You can watch motivational videos in English, and always try to catch each and every keyword of the listening. Okay, even if you have skipped some of the words, try to watch the video again, because you are gaining information as well, and it will automatically help you to improve your listening power. So this was the thing which I tried. I watched a lot of YouTube channels in English, and I watched a lot of resources, and it helped me automatically improve my listening. When I started doing listening, from the starting itself, I always got 7 band or 7.5 bands. Most of the time, it was 7.5 bands. I always got stuck on to 32 to 34 marks. I only got like before my first exam, when I just practiced for 15 days, I only got 8 band once or twice. Okay, so the same thing happened in the exam. I only got 7.5. If you haven't watched my scorecard, I am pasting the link in description. Go check out that video. I have shared my journey over there. Okay, so for the first time, I only got 7.5 in the exams, because I was getting 7.5 bands in the practice as well. So then I just tried a few things on my own. Okay, there were a lot of people saying various absurd things, where there was no such technique which actually works in listening. You always have to listen to various things. Always try to increase your listening power, because though this is the only way where you can improve your listening marks. Nothing would help. Nothing. There are no methods. There are no tricks. Actually, methods usually work, but there are no tricks which work in listening. Okay, so now I'm coming to one tip which worked for me, and I had designed it for myself, because I thought of various things how I can improve my listening, and that thing actually worked for me, and I always got 39, 38, or 40 out of 40 in listening exams in the practice as well. And the same thing happened in the exam, because I still remember I had only one doubt in the paper, and I still got 9 bands, which means I either got 39 out of 40, or I got 40 out of 40. So okay, so now the time comes to reveal the best method which worked for me. I used to practice always 2 listenings in one single day. The first listening I did when I was totally fresh in the morning before even starting my job. So I always try to do that listening at a faster speed on the YouTube channel. I always opened one YouTube listening, and then I always try to play that audio at 1.5 or 1.25x on the speed. So it actually helped me a lot in gaining the listening power. I was able to catch the words very swiftly when I used to play it at a normal speed. Okay, the first thing which I did was, I usually wake up in the morning, just get some fresh air, and then just get ready for the work. So before my job started, I always try to do one listening before my job starts, and I usually played the audio of the listening at 1.5x speed. In the starting, I got my graph got down, and I started scoring less. But I just kept on trying for at least 2 weeks. I tried this thing, and my score gradually improved when I was doing the listenings on the normal speed. So, in simpler words, what I'm trying to say is, try to practice 2 listenings in one day, and try to play the first audio at 1.5x speed or 1.25 to 1.25x speed, whichever feels more difficult to you. Okay. And then once you are comfortable with the 1.25 speed, then start playing listening audios at 1.5x speed. Okay. And once you are done with that, try to see how much you scored, where you lagged, and what mistakes you made. After that, in the evening, try to do one more listening at a normal speed. Don't try to do it at the fastest, because this won't help at all to you. Okay, try to do first speed at a higher speed in the morning, and then try to do another listening audio at a normal speed. So this will then allow your brain to catch the words very quickly. So this thing worked for me in just 2 weeks, and I was able to score. I started seeing my score gradually improving when I used this method. and I had developed it on my own. I'm not sure if there is someone else saying this thing on anywhere, because I have no idea if this thing has either worked for someone else or not. But I always try to do this thing on my own. So this is the best method which had worked for me, and I really hope it will work for you as well. Don't try to book the paper because it is very costly, and you have the full confidence that you can easily score this much marks in all of your modules. I would be making different videos on the upcoming on the different modules of IELTS listening, so stay tuned for that as well. Even if you're new to my channel, then click on the subscribe button and turn on the bell icon. Just doing a quick summary that IELTS listening is very easy to score, and it is the most easiest module in the entire IELTS exam. So always try to have laser focus, and then you can easily ace this exam. And it will consist of 4 sections where there are different type of questions, and you can easily score 40 out of 40 in this exam by following one simple method, which is always try to play the audio at a higher speed, and then when you are easily able to score well in that, then try to play it at a normal speed later in the day. So okay, I always scored 40 out of 40 in the higher speed as well, because my listening power improved so much that I was easily able to crack this exam. Okay, so I really hope this thing will work for you, and if you have some other opinions, then do let me know in the comment section. I will see for it. Thank you guys, have a nice day. Bye.